In the next 90 seconds, you're about to uncover a technological revolution that's unfolding right now, a shift so massive it could reshape the global balance of power forever. Did you know that in 2025, China is projected to control over 40% of the world's semiconductor manufacturing, and they're doing it without relying on American technology? This isn't just another tech rivalry story. What you're about to see is how China has been quietly dismantling its dependence on US-led systems, smartphones, software, semiconductors, and replacing them with an entirely homegrown ecosystem. Welcome back to Revo Now, where we decode the hidden forces shaping tomorrow's tech landscape. Today, we're diving into one of the most underreported but absolutely critical stories in modern geopolitics, how China is systematically saying no to US tech dominance and building its own parallel digital universe. But here's the twist. This isn't just about trade wars or sanctions. It's part of a calculated long-term strategy, one that may redefine not only who controls global innovation but also how the internet itself operates in the future. Let me show you why this matters more than you think. The stakes are higher than ever. Imagine waking up tomorrow to find your smartphone no longer runs Google Maps, YouTube, or even WhatsApp. Instead, every app you use, from navigation to social media, is powered by Chinese companies, running on Chinese servers, governed by Chinese laws. Sounds far-fetched? Not anymore. Since 2018, China has accelerated efforts to reduce reliance on Western technologies. Initiatives like Made in China 2025 and the National Integrated Circuit Industry Investment Fund have poured over $100 billion into domestic tech development. And guess what? They're already seeing results. A decade-long strategy for self-sufficiency. The seeds of this transformation were planted years ago, long before recent geopolitical tensions escalated. When Huawei was banned from accessing Google services in 2019, many dismissed it as a temporary setback. But behind closed doors, Beijing saw an opportunity. Key milestones in China's tech independence journey. 2018. Huawei banned from Google Play Store. 2019. ZTE fined $1 billion for violating US sanctions. 2020. SMIC begins mass production of 7nm chips. 2021. Alibaba launches Tongyi Lab, AI division. 2022. ByteDance enters cloud infrastructure market. 2023. Xiaomi launches My TV Pro with fully localized OS. Take Xiaomi's latest move, for example. Their new smart TV doesn't just run Android, it features a completely homegrown operating system called MiOS, designed to replace Android entirely. Why does this matter? Because even small steps away from US ecosystems can trigger massive shifts in global influence. Why now? Geopolitical tensions fuel innovation. Recent US export controls targeting Chinese firms like Huawei and SMIC have made clear. No matter how much trust or partnership existed before, the US will use tech as a weapon. Beijing responded by doubling down on self-reliance. For instance, in 2021, China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology announced plans to achieve 70% self-sufficiency in core technologies by 2025. By 2023. Local chip makers had already begun producing advanced nodes at scale, despite being cut off from cutting-edge lithography machines manufactured by ASML, a Dutch company aligned with US restrictions. These moves aren't random, they're strategic. Rising tensions and complications, 40 to 60%. Now, let's talk about the real stakes here. If China succeeds in building a fully autonomous tech ecosystem, it could fundamentally alter the structure of the internet itself. Imagine a world where your phone doesn't run on Google services, your social media platform isn't owned by Meta, and your AI tools aren't powered by Nvidia or AWS. It sounds dystopian, but this isn't science fiction anymore. There are two main forces driving this shift. 1. Strategic isolation. China is actively reducing reliance on foreign tech companies due to increasing geopolitical tensions. During the pandemic, Beijing accelerated efforts to reduce exposure to US tech firms. Local alternatives like WeChat, Douyin and Baidu replaced Instagram, TikTok and Bing within China's borders. This wasn't sudden, it was planned. 1. Domestic innovation push. China's state-backed innovation model works differently than Western models. It's not just about private enterprise, it's about leveraging national resources to win globally. Take Tencent's WeChat, for example. With over 1.2 billion monthly active users, it functions as a super app, messaging, shopping, banking, gaming, all wrapped into one seamless experience. But unlike WhatsApp or Telegram, WeChat operates under strict Chinese regulation and data sovereignty laws. So while the West sees platforms like Facebook or Twitter as open networks, China views them as potential threats to national security. And so, they're building their own network. Complications mount. As China pushes forward, complications arise. For instance, can China truly innovate without access to cutting-edge tools like ASML's EUV lithography machines? Will local alternatives be enough to compete with Silicon Valley giants? These questions create uncertainty, but also opportunity. At this point, many people might assume that China is simply trying to copy Western innovations, but there's something deeper going on. Many experts believe China isn't copying, it's redefining. They're not just replacing Google Maps with Baidu Maps or YouTube with Youku, they're creating entirely new paradigms. Here's where things get interesting. Misconception. Number 1. China will fail because of lack of talent reality. Check. China has produced more STEM graduates annually than any other country since 2015. In 2022 alone, over 1.3 million students graduated with degrees in engineering and computer science. Misconception number 2. Their tech isn't secure or scalable. Actually, look at the rise of Huawei Cloud, which ranks among the top 5 global cloud providers. Or consider how Alibaba Group now powers e-commerce across multiple continents using its proprietary Apsara cloud platform. Still, some analysts argue that China's tech growth is too dependent on government subsidies to be truly sustainable. However, that argument fails to account for how deeply embedded these technologies are within Chinese society. They're not just apps or devices, they're part of everyday life. Which brings us to the next layer of complexity. The real question: who controls data sovereignty? While the US focuses on hardware bans and export controls, China is playing a different game altogether. They've realized that true independence lies not just in hardware, but in controlling data, the lifeblood of the digital age. From mandatory data localization laws to investments in quantum computing, China is positioning itself as a leader in the next wave of technological evolution. But what if the US strikes back? Here's the truth that most haven't seen coming. China isn't just building an alternative tech ecosystem, it's already launching a parallel digital universe. Let me explain. The Great Firewall 2.0, a new kind of internet. While the US controls around 40% of global internet traffic, China has developed a closed-loop system that includes a nationwide fiber-optic backbone, domestically controlled data centers, proprietary protocols and APIs, AI-driven censorship and surveillance tools. What's particularly chilling is how seamlessly integrated this system is. You can access all of China's internal services via mobile apps like WeChat, Douyin and Xiaohongshu, but only if you're inside China. Outside of China, those services are blocked, restricted, or rendered useless. This means that China is no longer just competing in tech, it's creating a separate digital nation. And worse, they're already preparing for a time when that nation will operate independently of the rest of the world. Evidence that supports this claim. 1. State-owned enterprise leadership companies like SMIC, ZTE and Huawei aren't just subsidiaries, they're extensions of national strategy. They've received massive funding and legal protections from the Chinese government. 1. Cyber security. Laws. New laws passed in 2021 require all tech companies operating in China to store user data locally and undergo mandatory security reviews. These laws effectively isolate China's digital space from foreign interference. 1. Data sovereignty. Initiatives. China's push for data sovereignty is part of a broader effort to prevent foreign governments from accessing sensitive information. They're not just protecting privacy, they're safeguarding national interests. The broader implications. If China succeeds in creating a fully self-sufficient digital ecosystem, the ripple effects will be felt worldwide. Economic fragmentation. A bifurcated tech landscape could lead to two distinct global economies, one aligned with China, the other with the West. Geopolitical shifts. Nations caught between these two spheres may have to choose sides, further polarizing international relations. Technological divergence. Innovations developed within China's closed loop won't necessarily benefit the rest of the world, slowing down global progress. This isn't just a battle for supremacy, it's a fight over the very fabric of our connected future. This isn't just about geopolitics, it's about the future of connectivity, freedom of information, and who gets to decide the rules of the digital world. If China continues on this path, we could soon live in a world where your phone runs on a Chinese OS, your cloud storage is hosted in China, your AI assistant is trained on Chinese datasets, your internet behaves differently based on location. None of this is inevitable, but it is possible. And, if you want to stay ahead of the curve, understanding this transformation is crucial. Subscribe now to Revo Now and never miss a breakthrough insight into global tech strategy. Comment below. Do you think the US will ever regain its technological edge over China? Which aspect of China's tech independence worries you most? Privacy and surveillance, economic dependency, digital divide, global influence. Want more? Suggest topics you'd like us to cover next week in the comments. We're witnessing history unfold. And yes, it's scary, but it's also fascinating, because when two giants collide, the result isn't just war, it's evolution. Stay curious, stay informed, stay ahead. See you next time on Revo Now.
Subscribe to Revo now and join our vibrant community of forward thinkers, change makers, and revolutionaries.